Congratulations for taking the PSAT this year. We're going to spend a few minutes going through the score report so you know what's next. On this very front page, I want to highlight two things. One is that there's links to an official SAT question of the day. And the second one is for the 11th graders, we want to make sure you're registering for that May or June SAT so that you are set for the spring and then you have time to do retakes in the fall. So moving on to the second page, we're going to focus on 4 different areas. Number 1 is your score. Number 2 are your skills. Number 3 are your answers. And of course, finally, are your next steps. Going through the first box of your scores, you're going to see right here a big number in a bubble. That is the score that you received for the different areas. We have critical reading, mathematics, and writing skills. What's important to know is that the score is out of 20 to 80, and you have a range of where you meet. What also is great is it lets you know where you score in relationship to other students in your class. The PSAT is meant to be for juniors, so this number is more relevant for juniors than sophomores, but you are graded within your class that you're there. For this student, they scored a 50. If I were to translate that to an SAT score, I would just add a 0 to that number, and this student would receive a 500 for their critical reading. On average, juniors will score 18 points higher on their SAT. That probably has a lot to do with how much preparation they do between their PSAT and SAT. But you're on the right track because you took the PSAT. Next piece we're going to look at is the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. This is only going to affect a very small portion of students, and if your number is not above, say, 215, you really don't need to worry about this section. But basically, if it is, you are a major rock star because that basically means that you're scoring within the top 55,000 students in the country and you could qualify for National Merit Scholarship monies. Don't worry about that really, because if you are in that top number, you will definitely be notified. If you're a sophomore and your number is, say, 200 to 215, somewhere around there, it might be helpful for you to do some prep next year because the National Merit Scholarship is for juniors. So if your score is close in that area, then you can score next year and maybe be in the running for National Merit Scholarship. Basically, this number, your selection index, is the combination of each of these individual tests all added together. So that's where that 146 comes from. And again, if I were looking at this as an SAT, I would add a 0 to it, and that would give me a 1460 on my SAT. So that's going to help you when you're doing your research for colleges and seeing what their average SAT scores are. To give you an idea, the average number for juniors is 141.9. The average for sophomores is 127.3. So if you're within that range, so you can see this student for juniors is right within that range, for actually a little bit above for juniors. So I'm a student's doing pretty good. The next section is your skills. What this does is it breaks down each of the tests down into specific skills. So you can see over here for geometry and measurement, this student ended up getting 8 out of the 10 questions correct, and they omitted one of the questions. So it really can give you an idea of where you might have some specific holes. For example, for this student, the corrected form sentences, they only got 1 out of the 6 questions right and skipped a whole bunch of them. So that would be an area for a student to work on. That's what the skills information in here can give you. The next section are your answers. So basically, these are all the questions for the PSAT, including the grid-in questions. Those are the ones that you wrote in. And it tells you what the answer, the correct answer is, what your answer, and basically here's a check mark so you can see that that student did guess the number A was, or the letter A was their correct answer, and then it has a difficulty level of easy, medium, or hard. So you can really get an idea of, hey, I missed this question, this was the right answer, and that was a medium question, so that's where I need to work on. There's a little key over here on the left just to help you out as well. The grid-in questions over here, again, those are ones that you wrote in answers, so you can see exactly what it is that you wrote in and what the correct answers were and how difficult it is. Now we're moving down to the last part. This is basically really, I think, the best part of the PSAT, besides having the experience of going through the test so you can kind of experience what that is going to be like for the SAT, but it's really about what are you going to do next, because all of you guys are going to end up taking the SAT, and again, juniors in the spring, sophomores you will wait a year, but really it's what do I do now? So this little code right down here is the key to it all. Each student has a different code because that's linking you into the College Board Quick Start site that is going to link you into your specific information that you need to make corrections or to do study guide information and such.